Okay, so anyone else feel like learning to code is kind of like staring down this massive, scary mountain? Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah, that feeling's totally normal.
Hmm.
People think you got to be some kind of, I don't know, code whisperer, knowing everything before even starting.
And whose brain has space for all of that? So today we're diving deep into this thing called the 80/20 rule. Honestly, it always sounded kind of like business jargon to me, but
It is a business idea originally,
uh,
yeah, but it's crazy useful for any kind of learning, especially coding. Basically, it says 80% of your results come from just 20% of what you put in.
hold up. 80/20 rule. Is this like actually magic? Break this down for me. Imagine I'm 5 years old and allergic to textbooks.
All right, picture this. Remember those old arcade games? You'd spend hours, tons of quarters, getting nowhere. Then some kid walks up, knows the exact button combo, boom, beats the level in seconds. That's the 80/20 in action, finding those high-impact moves.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Hmm.
But with coding, those moves are what, specific lines of code or?
Kinda. It's more about the ideas you master. There's this cool blog post from Algo Academy. They said 80% of software bugs usually come from just 20% of the code. So figure out those error-prone spots early.
And you're golden. No more all-nighters fueled by coffee and frustration. Trying to debug, I'm listening. But how do we even know what that crucial 20% IS? This is where I get stuck, too many choices, you know? So in this giant jumble of coding info, how do we even find that 20% that matters? Feels like searching for a needle in a haystack, blindfolded.
That's where this article is really helpful. It's not about giving you a list of memorize this commands. It's like a whole different way of thinking about it.
Okay, you've got my attention. Hit me with it.
One big takeaway for me was focus on the basics, not the fancy stuff. You know those tutorials like build a robot butler with 10 lines of code? Eh, maybe skip those for now.
Wait, seriously? But those sound so cool.
They might be, eventually, but it's like you wouldn't try baking a fancy cake before you even know how to use an oven, right?
Okay, bad example. I once set fire to microwave popcorn. But I get your point. So we're talking coding 101. What are some of those basics?
Exactly. It's like building a house. You wouldn't start with a rooftop hot tub before you even have walls, right?
Right.
In coding, those walls are your data types, your loops, your functions. Master those, you can build almost anything.
So instead of getting lost in all these frameworks and libraries and whatnot, I should focus on the core stuff first.
Exactly. Once you've got that foundation down, you'll be surprised how much you can already build. And when you do need those fancier tools later on.
You'll actually know how to use them, not just copy-pasting code from the internet and hoping for the best. Speaking of using code, the article also mentioned this learn by doing thing, right? This learn by doing thing. It's like you can read all about swimming, but until you're actually in the water. Yeah.
Totally. And coding's the same. You got to get your hands dirty, actually build things.
Yeah.
The article was big on that real-world experience, helps you zero in on that 20% that makes a real difference.
So less theory, more tinkering. Like, what if I start with something simple, like a program to calculate tips at a restaurant?
Exactly. Start small, pick projects that genuinely interest you. You'll learn those fundamental concepts way faster when you're actually using them to, like, solve a problem you actually have.
This is such a mindset shift, honestly. Going from coding is this impossible mountain to, okay, I can actually do this.
Yeah.
But gotta be honest, there's still a little part of me thinking, what if I do need that other 80% someday?
I hear you. You don't want to limit yourself. But it's not about ignoring the rest. It's about prioritizing. Get those fundamentals down, build that strong base, then branch out into more specialized stuff as needed.
Like having a map, right? You gotta learn the main roads before you start exploring the back roads. So much less intimidating.
Exactly. And the cool thing is with coding, there's no shortage of resources to help you along the way, which, speaking of this whole 80/20 thing, is kind of Algo Academy's whole deal, isn't it?
Totally. They're all about that efficient, practical approach. No fluff, just the good stuff, which, honestly, my brain appreciates more than they know.
It's all about working smarter, not harder, and Algo Academy seems to get that.
Major brain upgrade today. You know, it's funny, this 80/20 thing, it's like a life hack for, well, everything. Makes you wonder, where else could we use this? Conquering my email inbox, maybe? Organizing my junk drawer? Okay, that might be pushing it. But seriously, listeners, we want to know, where would you apply the 80/20 rule? Hit us up on social media.
Really makes you think, whether it's coding or just like everyday life, remembering to focus on those high-impact actions. That's powerful stuff.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the 80/20 rule and how it can totally transform your coding journey. Hopefully you found this as insightful as we did.
Happy coding, everyone!